To people that don't know me, I am Sabrina AuClair, and I am the owner of Unpacked Living, and I own the only zero waste store. I can't say in the North Shore because Newburyport is part of the North Shore too. So there's one there.
Well, good.
But of this gorgeous area of the North Shore. So I'm like the whole Beverly, Salem, Danvers, Essex, Ipswich area. So my store is basically a community-driven and fueled store by people like you. And I appreciate that you come here to talk about my favorite topic, which is plastic. I didn't choose the topic, but I am so appreciative by you guys, Green Beverly, that actually chose it for me and gave it a name, because the role of plastics is something that I avoid vividly in my life. I decided that was the way that I was gonna live. And we have to stop demonizing everything. And this is bad, this is bad, this is good, there's no bad and good, there's like a spectrum of everything. So just like that, plastics fall into that spectrum. There are plastics that are good, there are plastics that are so unnecessary and terrible for us and the environment. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. So I cannot start this talk without some history. So I'm gonna show you guys a video.
Hi, I'm Putter, and this machine has flamaged us all. It's the Bakelizer, a steam-pressured machine invented in 1907 by chemist Leo Baekeland to create the first commercial synthetic plastic, known as Bakelite, the material of 1,000 uses. It was easy and cheap for modern products. Tech progress from World War II then caused an explosion, excuse the pun, in single-use plastics for the home. And Life magazine even published an article in 1955 called Throwaway Living, praising plastics because disposable items cut down household chores. Not one thought for the future. I mean, what the flamage? Fast forward to 2024, where all plastic created since 1907 is still on Earth, leaching toxins into ecosystems and all life forms, killing animals, adding to climate change, growing relentlessly in global production, surrounding and forcing us to summon all of our individual superhuman comic book heroic strength to not buy into cheap plastic convenience. Because it's time to unflamage us all.
So that's basically the story of where plastic comes from. Plastic was created in the 1940s by some dude with the last name Bakelite or something like that, and he created the first kind of polymer to make our lives easier. It was discovered with high expectations because it was progress, right? Progress is always in pro of humanity. Progress gave us computers and electronics and airplanes, and cars were more efficient and everything was better and great. But at what price, right? Right now we're seeing the consequences of our progress, and the worst part about it is that from the beginning it was proven that they knew that there was no way to get rid of it. So they decided to just roll with it and get it into everything, and not only create Bakelite, but they created 7 different kinds of plastics that are man-made, and there's no way to get rid of them. They don't go away. There's no way for plastics. There's just a limbo where they become microplastics and they live in us. So now we're gonna watch another video. So that was just a little bit of history. Now we're gonna watch this video that I like to show too.
So this happens to me quite a lot. I'm hungry, I buy a croissant, I put it in a plastic bag, I pay for it, and I remove it from the plastic bag to eat it. Both the croissant and the plastic bag serve their purpose, but the croissant is gone, and the plastic bag will still be around for a few centuries. I used it for about 15 seconds. If I throw it away, the plastic bag can either end up on a landfill, it can be burned with all the other trash, or it can be blown away into the water and return to me in the fish I eat 25 years from now. It takes at least 450 years for one plastic bottle to decompose. So if you accidentally lose your empty bottle in the woods, you can still pick it up in the year 2400. However, most petroleum plastic does not biodegrade. It just fragments into tiny microplastics, not visible to the naked eye. So, on the upside, you can't break your teeth on this kind of plastic. This is me doing grocery shopping. It's almost impossible to buy anything that is not wrapped in plastic. As a result, we throw away a lot of plastic packaging, 140 million tons a year to be precise. Most of it ends up as landfill. A smaller percentage gets burned, and only a really tiny part gets recycled. What happens with the other third? We know the images of birds with plastic in their stomach. We have become accustomed to the idea that even on the remotest of all islands, this one, where nobody lives, the beaches look like this. If I tell you that every minute we throw one garbage truck full of plastic stuff in the ocean, you won't be surprised. How about recycling? If we would recycle all our plastic, you would think we would end up with a cleaner planet, right? But according to this study, our use of plastic will be 4 times higher by 2050. So, even if we recycle everything we use, it won't be enough. We would still have to produce a lot more plastic. More importantly, new plastic is cheaper than recycled plastic. That means that even if you are a model citizen who recycles their plastic, most companies won't even use it. Producing this much plastic is plain dumb. Surely we can think of packaging that is reusable, refillable, or just not plastic. We are human beings. We invented helicopters, iris scans, and Tetris. We can surely invent our way out of this, and this. When you buy your takeaway coffee, you can bring your own thermos. You don't need a bottle around your shampoo, and you can bring your own bags to the supermarket. But we won't get there easily. Not with recycling alone. Not with cleaning up alone. It's time to stop using plastic and invent a hell of a solution.
All right, so we're here to talk about plastics. What is plastic? Plastic is a petroleum-derived product. It's a synthetic and versatile material created from polymers that come from petroleum. So basically, plastic is the trash that comes out from making oil. So gasoline that runs our cars, or just oil in general to run things that run on oil, it has a byproduct because that's refined and that's, taken out of the earth. And then whatever byproduct, which is basically the waste of that process, becomes plastic. It is characterized by being moldable when heated, which is a terrible thing to do, and maintaining its shape when cooled, making it suitable for a wide variety of uses. Plastic is widely used in the manufacturing of packaging, bottles, toys, utensils, among everything else. While its versatility and durability have been beneficial, its excessive use and lack of proper recycling have led to the environmental pollution and degradation of the environment, which we know. So what is plastic? It's a problem, basically. Just because something says it's recyclable, it doesn't mean it will be recyclable. That's what people, 90% of the population don't understand. Don't rely on that symbol. That symbol means nothing about recycling. It has nothing to do with recyclability. It's called the Mobius loop, and it was designed by Gary Anderson in the 1970s. The history of this symbol, it's kind of funny because it was just a contest that Corporate Packaging of America, it was back then in the 70s, the company in charge of making cardboard boxes, they decided to start making a contest to create a symbol that would represent recycling. The Mobius symbol was nothing new. It's actually a geometric, fantastic thing that happened in the 18-somethings, like geometric people, I don't know, like Pythagoras, you know what I'm talking about? They discovered this form, and it was fantastical, and it was like symmetrical, and it had a lot to do with mathematics, geometry, and philosophy, basically. So they just copied the Mobius loop. If you Google it, you will understand what I'm talking about. And they said that the Mobius loop represented the 3 R's of sustainability: reduce, reuse, and recycle. But that's all it means. And then it was designated as the symbol to be used in packaging. When the corporate America decided to stop making cardboard boxes and got into plastics, they needed a way to classify the plastics. So they used this symbol to determine by numbers the resin or the kind of plastic that something is made out of. That's all it means right now. All that history is to let you guys know that not all plastic is the same. One kind of plastic doesn't exist. It's actually so many of them. And if you see numbers from 1 to 7 in this little triangle, it doesn't mean it's recyclable. It just means that number 1 is PET, number 2 is HDPE, number 3 is PVC, number 4 is LDPE, 5 PP, 6 PS, and 7 it's all the other plastic that can be combined, because when you're making something out of plastic, there's always residue, there's always waste, right? So what are straws, toothbrushes, plastic cutlery made out of? The trash plastic. That's why it's not recyclable. There's no way to know which kind of plastic is it. It's just the scraps of everything else. That's why it's so harmful too. So like I mentioned before, plastic is a great invention. It's light, it's waterproof. It gave us progress, but it also gave us a lot of trash. Imagine in an ideal world where they discover plastic and they decide to regulate it. They're like, no, it's toxic and it's bad for us, but we're still gonna use it for medical things, and we're still gonna use it for aviation and for the war and for automobiles and like all the progress things like cell phones and computers and all the good things that came out of the discovery of this material. What if they have regulated in a way that it didn't make it into our houses? It didn't make it into our water supply, into our shampoo bottles, or our packaging for our food. It will be great, right? But that didn't happen. So the problem with plastic is, like I mentioned, is not just one, it's 7 kinds, and actually it's probably something like 50 kinds by now. But 7, it's everything else. These are the ones we know, and what each name represents is the polymer and the chemistry of the molecules that make that plastic. Some of them, when you heat them, can be made into something else, like 1, 2, and 5, which if you recognize that, those are the kinds of plastic that we actually recycle. Those are the ones that can be taken and made into benches. Those are the ones that can be downgraded and made into nylon and into polyester clothes or into recycled plastic. 3, 4, 6, and 7 are the most toxic ones and are not processable. They're pure trash. The best example for this is the number 6. Styrofoam comes from polyestyrene. Anything that's made of number 6, run. It's toxic, it's basically vinyl, it's extremely toxic, and it's non-processable. Most of shower curtains are made of that. So vinyl, it's just a terrible thing. Polyvinyl chloride, it's also a terrible plastic, and there is literally no machine exists in the world that can process that waste. That's why styrofoam is being now collected to be used as insulation, because if you just put it behind walls in a house, you know, it keeps the heat in and the cold out and it works, but it's gonna be there forever anyway. So every time we buy something with, we buy any plastic, just keep in mind that that plastic is gonna exist forever. So, grim, right? Don't worry, we're gonna get to the good part. What percentage of plastic is recycled in the US? Who knows? I bet people that want to talk trash knows, but who wants to answer that? Go ahead, 5%. Yeah, that's only in the United States. The global rate is 9%, but we, as a great country that wants to be ahead of everything, dropped it down to 5%. What percentage of plastic is recycled in Germany? Who knows this answer? By the way, Germany has the highest percent of recycling in the world. I said Finland, it wasn't Finland, it's Germany. Who wants to throw a number compared to the US?
10.
Okay, who else?
I just said 9.
9?
12. 15.
So, we can do better. We can definitely do better. We're not going to get into the politics of all this because it's exhausting. Why does Germany do so good? How can they do it and we cannot? Regulations, EPR laws, and funding. So, in countries different to the United States, the regulations about plastic packaging and plastic waste management exist. They are regulation. Manufacturers cannot just make things in plastic and put the responsibility of disposing of it on the consumer, on us. They actually have to take it back. So that is called EPR laws, Extended Product Responsibility. These EPR laws are being pushed right now in different parts of the United States, Congress, Senate, even local, like plastic bag bans, like banning straws or at least handing straws unless you ask for one. Like those kinds of laws or regulations or things that go into motion make a lot of people mad because like, why are they taking my rights? It's not that. It's like we really need them. We really need them. Look at the percentage. We need the EPR laws to be passed. We need bottle bills. We need all these commandments because if it doesn't come from the people that actually can make something happen, then we're not really doing anything. And funding means that Germany actually fuels a lot of money into getting waste management to work properly. They make their own machines that can process waste. They make people actually recycle. First of all, they make it super accessible. Like you can just walk in Germany, not that I've been, but I've seen, and know specifically in which receptacle what goes. They even have compost. It's trash, recycling, and recycling is like 7 kinds, and then compost. And you actually have to pay to throw trash away. But we don't do that here. Anyway, the world generates at least 3.5 million tons of plastic and other solid waste a day, 10 times the amount that we did a century ago, because a century ago, plastic did not exist. According to the World Bank researchers, the US is the king of trash, producing a world-leaping 250 million tons a year, roughly 4.4 pounds of trash per person per day. So that's an average that I have no idea if it has been modified or not. I know I don't produce 4.4 pounds of trash a day because I've done my best to not to. And if you remember in the video, it said that by 2050, and that's just something that's been said forever, by 2050 we're gonna have more plastic in the ocean than fish. Well, that day is here. It didn't take to 2050. This came out of BBC 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So the bad news are here now. Just like climate change, and we have this amount of years to reduce the temperature of the air to this much, it's already here. Overshoot is already here. Climate change is happening, and the plastic industry is a lot of help to make that happen. So the amount of plastic on Earth outweighs all land and sea creatures currently alive. So we didn't even get all the fish, we got all the animals in existence to be less than the plastic amount in the planet. It's not about how much we recycle, it's about how much we throw away. I think I have nothing against recycling because it's the last, or like the bare minimum that anybody can do, and it's a good thing, but also it's not the cure for everything, it's not the one and only solution, and sadly recycling and trash are the same thing, they're waste. It doesn't matter in which bin you put it, it's all waste. So we are a throwaway society, we have to rethink and just think outside the box on how we are going to push as consumers and do our best as just people. And I know some people are like, but it's not our responsibility. What about Coca-Cola? What about Unilever? What about these huge companies making plastic? If you keep buying their product, they're gonna keep making it. If we as consumers don't tip the needle, nothing is gonna happen. And guess what? It's already happening. There are good news. It's already happening because, for example, Burt's Bees creator of chapsticks, little plastic tubes, just like chapstick, just came out with one made of cardboard, like the ones I sell in my store. So companies, big companies are listening. They know and they do market research and they want to please the consumer because then the consumer is not gonna buy from them. Same as I just noticed that Arm & Hammer just created laundry sheets. They came out with their own laundry sheets when like that was our thing. But that doesn't make me sad because I mean, there's market for everyone and the more mainstream zero waste products are, that's great. They have to be available. You have to be able to go to any grocery store and find at least one option. My happiness when I found bamboo toothbrushes at Market Basket was out of this world, although not all of them have them. There has to be an option. So there's still a long way to go, but something is happening. So we have to rethink what we actually put in the bin. The bin, recycling or trash, same thing. It's all waste and it's all trucking away and it's all processed somehow and it shouldn't be that way. We should be striving to reduce both trash and recycling. Now, what can we do? So there are easy things to do. I'm gonna sit here so we can all read it together. Who wants to read the first one? Jill.
Me. Avoid single-use plastics. Bring your reusables.
So when we talk about plastic, we're demonizing an entire material. We're talking about plastic in general, like it's all bad, it's all terrible. Your cell phone is made of plastic, my mouse is made of plastic, your car is made of plastic, and it's not like you can just not drive and not travel and not talk on the phone. I'm talking about unnecessary plastic, which is what we categorize as single-use plastics. Straws, disposable cutlery, anything that's disposable, coffee cups, cotton swabs, even bubble gum. A ton of people have no idea that bubble gum is actually made of plastic, but, well, some brands. It's also misleading because you're like, oh, but when I get a bag at the grocery store, I reuse it in my trash bin, so it's not single use, it's twice use. Same thing, it's all gonna go into the trash eventually. It's not reusable, it's not compostable, and it's not recyclable. So this is what we mean for single-use plastics. So your reusables are your best friends, your coffee cups, your china, your cutlery, your water bottles. When did it become easier to just buy disposable plastic and use spoons than washing your own spoon made of whatever, stainless steel or whatever? So that's one. Who wants to read the second one? Julia.
Do not microwave plastic, use glass.
Yes. So even though there are some plastics that are supposed to be microwavable, like plastic number 5, your normal Rubbermaid brands, or I don't want to say Tupperware because Tupperware is another thing that I don't even know how it exists. Tupperware, if you, like people that collect Tupperware, look for the number. It doesn't exist. It's just random plastic. You don't know if you're like using styrofoam or vinyl or it's mystery plastic that you're using in Tupperware. So, no, it's crazy, but anyway. I'll read the third one. Do not use plastic cutting boards. Use bamboo or glass. It's as easy as that. Plastic cutting boards are your main thing in your house where you're consuming microplastics. When you use a cutting board, you're cutting into it and then you go into the pot or into the pan. You are throwing pieces of plastic into your food. We've been eating it for decades. Just yesterday, I read about a study that found that 100% of the placenta that they look at, all of it had microplastics. Moms, we're making plastic babies now. Our breast milk has plastic in it. So we are already consuming it. And now doctors are actually concerned that now it's not even cholesterol that might kill you because of a heart attack, might be plastics. So anyway.
Question.
Yes.
You say use bamboo.
Yeah.
Are other types of wood okay as well?
So it depends. When it comes to food safety or like food management, especially for cutting boards and stuff that you're managing, bamboo, it's an antimicrobial wood. It's not even wood, it's grass. woods are more porous, so they can, grow mold, or it's harder to maintain them. They're beautiful cutting boards made of like cedars and stuff like that. I would not destroy something beautiful made of wood. I would use it for like serving things, like cheeses and charcuterie boards, but maybe not for cutting like a bamboo, or there are glass cutting boards. Now they make composite cutting boards too, made out of like sawdust and bamboo. Like it's just like a hodgepodge of materials, but no plastic. Those are good too. And the most important thing is keeping them clean. And I much rather do this. Although yes, if you have a wood one and you're already using it and you're doing this like with the knife to put your food in, I'd rather eat like wood chips than plastic. Okay, so when grocery shopping up for cans and glass packaging, this is the main, like the most basic thing we can do when we go grocery shopping, anywhere. Instead of buying things in plastic, look if there's an option in glass, look if there's an option in a can, because those are materials that are endlessly recyclable. Those are materials that you can actually feel good about putting in your recycling containers, because they are getting recycled. Plastic is the problem. So, see if there's an alternative. If not, or if it's more expensive, like I'm not telling you how to live and I'm not telling you what your budget is, just, keep in mind that there might be an option out there that's better for you. Also, when grocery shopping, use the 80-20 rule. This is something I invented because obviously I'm not perfect and I cannot find many things in the grocery store without plastic. Cream cheese, for example, it does come in a box. But that box has a foil in the bottom. I'd rather buy that than buying plastic. But there are some things that you're definitely not gonna get away with it. So the 80-20 rule is to buy 80% of your groceries without plastic, loose produce, glass cans, and then the 20%, the bare minimum of your grocery shopping should be in plastic. So allow yourself some slack. We're trying our best. So I think this is a good rule of thumb to have. Do a plastic audit at home, which is what I did, which is what drove me into all this world of trying to reduce my plastic intake, you might say it. When you go to your house, and I did it just one day out of desperation, I took everything out of my cabinets, my drawers, my cupboard, everything that was made of plastic. All the cleaners, my shampoo bottles, my toothpaste, everything that was made of plastic, and I put it in my dining table, and I took a picture of it, because when it's spread around your house, you don't see it. You're like, I don't have that much. You do have a lot. And that also gives you a visual of where you can switch. Or maybe when I run out of my Windex, instead of buying another bottle of Windex, maybe I'll go to Sabrina's store and refill it. Or maybe I'll start cleaning my windows with white vinegar instead of having a specific cleaner for that. Skip altogether the small flimsy plastic bags that they offer you for produce at the grocery store. There is no more unnecessary plastic than that one. There is no need. People are like, but you gross, how do you keep your potatoes together? And why would I put my celery just loose in the carton, because it's not clean already. It doesn't matter. People are like, but I've seen people throwing the fruit just goes into the floor and then they put it back. The floor is cleaner than the produce already. The produce is brought in huge trucks, and it's harvested from the ground. The produce at the grocery store is not clean. That's why they tell us when you go home, clean it, run it under water, use some baking soda. Also, if you look, 70% of the things that you buy at the grocery store, you're not gonna just bite on them. A banana, you peel it off, so you eat the inside. An avocado, same thing. Mandarins, oranges, you're not eating the outside. So why does it matter if you just take your shopping thing, just throw everything in it, put it in the conveyor belt, and then go home, or use your own bags. What I do is I just grab literally not this one, but my reusable bag, and throw everything in it, put it in the conveyor belt, throw everything in again, and just go home. and then wash it, obviously. Yes.
The compostable bags aren't recyclable.
No, you're saying something completely wrong.
Really? Oh.
So there's no grocery stores offering compostable bags. That's a lie. So the little ones that you take, they're green, but they're not compostable. And actually, Blacker Compost has a lot of trouble, and they post about it all the time. Those are not compost, they're just green. So they're confusing because most compostable bags are green, so you just assume, but they're not.
So they're green in color.
Exactly.
And they look like compostable bags. But sometimes there are signs that say
If they say they're compostable, yes, but that, sadly, it's only Whole Foods. You're not gonna find those bags in Market Basket, Shaw's, Stop and Shop, Crosby's, Trader. I hate Trader Joe's, by the way. Unpopular opinion, I'm not from here.
100%.
I do not, like, out of all the grocery stores, and trust me, I've been to all of them, this is the worst place to buy plastic free. The worst. The second worst is Market Basket, but even Market Basket has more options. Like, I literally, try it. Go to Trader Joe's and try to put no plastic in you end up with nothing. You end up with maybe like a can of beer and a wine bottle.
Potatoes and onions.
And potatoes and onions, or bananas, thank God bananas keep being plastic free, like keep just being free. But anyway. Gee. Free the bananas, anyway. Okay. So yes, like for the love of God, you do not need those bags. The teller, actually the people in the register appreciates more when things are loose because then they don't have to open the bag or ask you what is this. They're like, no, they just put things, I've done it for 4 years. Trust me, nobody has told me anything. Use your own bags, bring your own reusable bags or whatever, but just don't take those. Anyway, go to local farmers markets. They're your best friends. Best friends to buy produce and vegetables and anything plastic free. Farmers markets, and bring your own bags, containers to buy fruits and veggies. They even are happy to take back their own little, those are compostable, like the berry containers, the green ones that are like, that's like a wood pulp or something, paper. Yeah, they're super happy. Like I go to the Beverly Farmers Market and I bring my own Tupperwares and I just, here, they can reuse it. It costs money to buy those little containers for small farmers. So they're happy to just take them back, most of them at least. So farmers markets are the place to go when obviously they're happening. Sign up for a local CSA is another great way to avoid plastics. Most local farms, if you look, you can actually sign up for a weekly delivery of their own in-season fresh veggies or fruits. Like there's a ton of types. You can even now sign up for like flower CSAs that will give you a beautiful local bouquet of like literally locally grown flowers. So that's another way to avoid all the waste. Last but not least, compost. Composting is your tool to reduce significantly your trash and your recycling. Compost is this magical thing that happens where things actually decompose and go back to earth, bringing nutrients to the soil so we can grow again food. So this is a great thing, especially if you live in Beverly. We have Blacker Compost. There's a free drop-off, so you don't even have to sign up for it and pay. There's a free drop-off of compost locally. So, and it's getting bigger, so maybe hopefully we'll have a few more. In Beverly, there's a free drop-off. Great. I did it good. Now, let's go back to do a plastic audit. I'm gonna show you my plastic. This is my plastic from my home back in 2019. That in 2019 was when my husband says I went crazy. And I was like, I hate plastic. Honestly, like the day I snapped, I was in Market Basket, right in front of the wall of shampoos. And I was pissed because I lived in an apartment building. Not an apartment building, it's the townhomes of Beverly back then, now has another name. But I was part of a complex that had no recycling, no compost, not anything. So it broke my heart to see the trash bins just filled with anything, bicycles, mattresses, like there was no rhyme or rhythm to the trash there, and overflowing. It was crazy. So I was like, I can't recycle. What can I do? Also, why I used to use Head and Shoulders, just to give you brands. And I was like, why is this freaking company making me buy more and more bottles? Why can't I come to the grocery store? And this is me back in 2018, was that? Not knowing what zero waste was, not knowing what plastic free was, not knowing anything about sustainability. I was just shopping like a normal, well, what you call a normal person. Buying fast fashion, just living my life. Driving, not thinking about any of this. But a bottle of shampoo set me off. I was like, I don't wanna buy more trash. These companies are making me buy their trash. So I turned to my husband and I yelled at him. And I was like, why is this happening? And he was like, I don't know, but I mean, you should wash your hair. And I was like, there has to be a better way. So right then and there, I literally walked out the market basket because it was like a snowball thing that happened in my brain. And I vowed to find alternatives. There has to be something else. There has to be a different way to wash my hair that doesn't involve having a bottle of plastic. Why can't I refill it? Why can't I bring it and refill it? I just need the interior. I don't need the bottle. I have the bottle. So I did this. I took a picture of every single item that was in my house that was made of plastic. This is something like 300 things. And that doesn't include trash bags or my makeup. So it was way more, but this is like your basic stuff. So I wanted to have this picture embedded in my mind to know what I was gonna do. So first of all, I didn't throw this away and bought everything new. That's not sustainable. That's not what you do. You should stop buying anything and use what you have. Using what you have at home is the most sustainable thing you can do, and it applies to everything. Cleaners and clothes. Shop your own closet. Use your own clothes. You don't need new clothes every season. Then in 2020, it took me 1 year, but I reduced my plastic. It takes forever. We're not gonna lie to each other, but also I stopped buying it. There are some people that love to hoard plastic cleaners. Oh, this one is on sale. Costco has this 3-pack. So you buy it in quantities that you don't even need. So aside from not buying more, I was also using what I already had and then transitioning to whatever option was available at the moment to me. And back in 2019, there was no stores. Massachusetts had no zero waste stores, was a brand new thing. There was like a few in California, like 2 in Brooklyn. You had to order online. It was not there. There were like only like 3 or 4 brands of shampoo bars, and it was all terrible. So it was a struggle, and that's also what drove me to do what I do now, to actually find these products and bring them to the community. Let's fast forward to 2021. Right? Right? You can see the table now. So obviously there's things that take time to use. You don't use them every day. So same thing, but it's all the same products. There are no new things. It's all the same things that you saw in the first picture, just less. And then this is the last picture that I took, 2022, because by then I also had 2 stores and I just forgot about it, and I never took the 2023 or 2024. But this is a good example. This is my individual, or not individual, let's give some credit where it's due, my husband too, 2 family person household, trying our best to reduce our plastic in general, him and me. So it is possible, just like I showed you the example of the recycling rate in the United States and the recycling rate in Germany. There is a way to make it happen. It's not impossible. Don't lose hope because I just told you that there's more plastic than animals on Earth. Okay, but what are we gonna do about it? So, there's a way to actually live with less plastic, and I'm not a hippie. I don't stink. I didn't stop showering. I didn't stop driving. There's just different kinds of products now available, and now that there are way more people aware about the plastic problem, there are tons of options, and they're all in my store. So the best moment to stop using plastic was 20 years ago, and the second best moment is today. Now, it doesn't happen overnight, like I showed you. It has taken me a while. It's not perfect. I still have plastic products. In fact, my husband and I were able to buy a house last year, and the lovely people that own the house left me a ton of it everywhere. So now if I take the picture now, it's probably gonna look like the second year. But you do your best. Plastic happens. It's impossible, it's unavoidable. The society and the world is not designed at this moment to just avoid it. So yes, and the second thing you can do about it is come to my store. Unpacked Living. Imagine, and this is what I did, imagine a store where you can just go in and be sure that everything you're buying, it's sustainable, it has the right ingredients, it has no plastic packaging, and it comes from wonderful companies that also want to save the planet. You're giving your money not to P&G, not to Unilever, not to Clorox, not to SC Johnson, not to these huge companies that are polluting the planet. You're giving your money to small businesses that are also trying to save the planet. So I created this store where you just come in, refill your own containers, buy the products that you need, and look for the alternatives of the products that you already have at home. So it's not a difficult thing to do anymore, at least not in this community. And just in general, we are 13, about to be 12, actually 11, because I closed my store yesterday. There are 11 zero-waste stores in the entire state of Massachusetts. Some are closing, but some are also coming up. It's becoming more mainstream, so, it's great to do. So thank you so much for listening to me. Now questions. Yes, Julia.
Well, I know when you say that you closed your store, you mean the Danvers store.
The Danvers
This is
store,
still
not
open.
this one. Yeah, I had a second location that failed miserably in Danvers.
Yeah.
But
Also, I wanted to ask if you have a suggestion, because it sounds like there's a lot more to that variable between 5 and 6% and 67 point something percent.
Yeah.
That, our community itself is great, and we can come to Unpacked Living, but it sounds like we need to kind of push into the legislature and the legislators.
Yeah.
Do you have a handle on what's going on?
Yes.
And how we can get involved in that?
So recently, 3 days ago, time means nothing to me. A few days ago, Ipswich actually made a talk with Representative, I forgot her name, Michelle. She's the representative for the Zero Waste Caucus in Massachusetts. And then another one that I don't remember her name, I'm terrible. But they were actually talking about EPR laws and all the things that are happening right now in that level, Senate and just in Massachusetts in general. And they're trying to push a few things that will be very helpful to us. One is the bottle bill, where what they're trying to do is switch what's happening right now, because right now it doesn't quite work, the bottle deposits that you can get back. They're trying to expand it to be more than just cans and bottles of water, because Massachusetts doesn't really, doesn't have redemption for more than that. And make it more like what happens in Maine. In Maine, even milk bottles can be redeemed for 10 cents or 5 cents. And that's another thing. They want to up it from 5 to 10 cents and include nips and just other beverages. It'll be great. But people are not happy about it. I don't know why people push so hard when we're trying to do something about the environment and cleaning the planet. But like, you're not gonna take my plastic bags away. I don't get it, but yes.
In your pitch at the end, you forgot to mention that the products you carry also work very well.
Thank you. Yes, they
Because
do.
it's more than just that. You've
Yes.
already vetted out these products
Yeah.
and for their ability to work.
So what we're trying to, basically, being zero waste is not making your own laundry detergent and, like I said, stop showering and like not driving and just living in a hut in the middle of the woods. No.
It can be that though.
It can be of grid, but that's a little too extreme for me. You can be part of society and you can be a normal person living your normal life just using the right products. And using the right products doesn't mean you have to change completely what you use. It's just the packaging. It's just the way it's presented. So anyway, there are other laws being passed. They were talking about banning styrofoam containers specifically. It's really hard to ban the hard styrofoam that just comes with furniture and whatever you buy, basically. Although there are companies already, I'm happy to say, like LG or Samsung also has like the newest TVs don't come with any styrofoam. They come with a preform, just like egg cartons, basically. And that is compostable and recyclable. So great, we're making good changes. Like I said, big companies actually listen to their consumers. So there is a push to ban specifically styrofoam containers, which has already happened in some municipalities, like Newton just banned it. And there's also, I don't remember where else, but like Dunkin' Donuts basically had to stop giving away those styrofoam cups. And they were not happy, but did it hurt anybody? No, it already happened. So, there's always change and change. Nobody likes change, but it has to happen. Yes.
Dunkin' Donuts won't refill your coffee mug either.
Some of them do actually, but you have to.
A lot of them don't.
Exactly. You have to catch one in a good way. They won't do it if they're too busy, but actually Starbucks just started doing it and they allow it to in the drive-thru. So
But my question is, how do you present this to the rest of your family? I mean, what you're talking to is probably the choir, but well, I'm doing everything I can, but my husband still does everything the way everybody else does.
So I find that nagging at people and making them change, it doesn't work. Basically, you have to trick them. Honestly. My husband refused he would change anything, but he refused to stop using his deodorant. He's like, Old Spice forever. And I was like, fine, you know what? You're lovely. You are supporting me in this, and I'm not going to make you do it. I'm not. But then COVID happened. And every time I went to the grocery store, I forgot to buy his deodorant. So I was like, you know what? This is the greatest time in the world because you're not out. Nobody can smell you. So why don't you start trying some of the deodorants I sell? Let's see what happens. And that's how it happened. And now he uses natural deodorant. It took a while, but I think having a conversation with people and just being open and ask them what would they be willing to switch? Even if it's just one thing, it's a great switch. Like your kids, your husband, whatever. Just have a conversation and say like, look, I think we should make some changes, and there are some changes that are very basic. So I still what about a bamboo toothbrush? Would you be willing to use a bamboo toothbrush? At least try it. If they say no problem. Would you be willing to maybe do refillable floss? It's the same floss, just in a different container that you can refill. So maybe they'll say, sure, I'll try that. And that's how you start, little by little. And another thing is just if you are the sole person responsible of grocery shopping in your house.
He does the grocery shopping.
Well, but, then I don't know.
Yeah, trying to get him not to use the plastic bags. I put the reusable ones
Yeah.
in his bag, and I put them on the top, and,
Yeah.
and he just goes, oh, they're dirty. I'm like, I washed them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you can do better.
I don't know if this is off topic, but do you know what happens with the electronics recycling events? Because I'm always worried that most of it is just ending up overseas in some landfill.
Yes and no. So I'm talking about landfills. Landfills don't exist anymore. We have only one left, and it's filling up really fast. And not all our trash goes to landfills. In Massachusetts, our trash probably 80% of it gets incinerated. We have 7, they call it waste to energy, not call it an incinerator, waste to energy facilities in the state of Massachusetts. And like I said, most of our trash goes to being burned. Tiny percent goes to the landfill that's filling up really fast, the last one. And another percentage, depending on which materials, is trucked to sometimes Maine. What was the other one? They truck it to Ohio, which is crazy. Yeah, other places. So electronics recycling, I actually have no knowledge about. I know it happens, and I actually have no idea how it's processed. I think the way they do it is if you think about an electronic, it's a mix of materials. So there's metals, there's plastic. So I think they just take the plastic off. Metals and components, some of those can be reused, some of those can be actually recycled. Metal has the highest rate of recycling, aluminum, all of them. So I think that's the way they do it, but I'm not sure. I wish Irina was here to tell us, but I don't know. I'm sorry.
Staples, right?
You can take things to Staples, you can take some things to Best Buy. Staples just rolled out a huge recycling program, so they're taking pretty much everything. Everything.
Look on their website, because they
Yes.
definitely have a huge list.
Yes. Yeah. And another thing that I've heard talking about laws and things that are happening to the political level, they're trying to support and push a lot of reuse programs. So there's a few restaurants and things that are already giving people like reusable containers instead of just your takeaway ones. So you have a program where you buy basically a glass Tupperware. So they give it to you and it's branded, and then if you bring it back, just like the milkman, you bring it back, you get a deposit back, and then you can get your food in it. So it's more like a reuse. What Representative Michelle, I don't remember her last name, was saying is that the problem with glass and the problem with like making Coca-Cola go back to glass and refilling and trucking glass bottles is that they will have to change their entire infrastructure. Not that they don't have the money to do it, it just takes time. And it's been proven that when people do that, you have to create basically a recycle center, a glass recycling center, so to catch the glass back, a sanitizing program too, like a sanitizing thing. Are you okay? Okay. So they have to sanitize the bottles, and then they have to refill them and then truck them away again. It is proven that if you do that, it takes 7 years to get the investment back, but with plastic, the investment is just right back. So that's why companies don't do it, but now there's gonna be more funding towards programs that use reusing and refilling more than just disposing. So it's not great. I mean, they could have said like, oh, we're just gonna ban all the single-use plastic, and we'll be like, here, yeah. But it's not the way you do it. It's not, you cannot attack just businesses and make them stop doing what they do. So there has to be some regulations put in first, and then people accepting the change, and then, we make things happen. So the 4 stages of recycling is not a solution. You're aloof, then you're angry, and you're frustrated, and then you realize it's true that you don't have to recycle a damn thing because you didn't buy it in the first place, right? The 4 stages of recycling. When you come to my talks, this is what you go through. Because when you learn how broken the recycling industry is, and when I start telling you, like, you can't recycle cartons, you can't recycle black plastic, half of the things that you put in your bin are not recyclable and are just going to trash, and not all plastic is recycled, you're like, then what are we doing? Then I'm not gonna recycle anymore. Well, don't buy things in plastic. Yes.
So if you want to buy everything in glass and metal, which are the best things to buy things in, right?
Yeah.
Has anybody created like a list of the manufacturers that are making things in glass and metal so that like it's easier to find the things that?
So no, there's not a list, but it's just like going to a grocery store and see what options are there. Like people love Jif peanut butter. But there's also Teddy peanut butter, and it comes in glass. So it's just making those little changes. But I don't like Jif. Well, too bad. We're gonna make them make their peanut butter in glass. So it's also, what I found out of, like in grocery shopping, it's also, there's like a hierarchy for me at least, to sustainability when my option is plastic or plastic, and it's to find the local company. So my husband, for example, he eats tortilla chips like they pay him to eat those. And there are so many brands out there, and there are actually some brands like Meniña and the other ones that seems like it's a paper bag. It's not, it's plastic. It's lined with plastic. So the way I do it, so I choose to buy Meniña brand because they're actually local. They're in Massachusetts. So I'd rather give them my money, even though I'm buying plastic. I'd rather buy from them than the other brands. Also, they're the only brand that does not use palm oil. So that's my choice. It's not perfect, and it's still packaged, but...
So you know that because you spend a lot of time in grocery stores figuring out that.
Well, you just read in the back where it's
But
made.
not all of us have the time to do
No,
that.
no.
That's why I'm wondering, like, with all that knowledge that you've obtained, and other people who are doing the same thing, like, it'd be cool if there was like, I don't know, some sort of clearinghouse, like, hey, if you don't have the time to do that,
You
here's
can do
what-
it.
No, I have no time to do
We'll
that.
help
There are
you.
people like
We'll
on
help you.
TikTok. I can't remember the guy's name.
Right.
There's a guy who's compiled.
Yeah.
That's like he's like just done that because he cares so
For
much.
us 60-year-olds who don't use TikTok.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
can still follow him. I just remember that's where I saw
I'll
him.
put it together for you.
That's what I'm thinking about.
So I have found out that when you go, or like normal people, what we call normal people, go to a grocery store, you tend to buy what you know, right? You tend to just buy the same products, the same things, you tend to buy what you know and not even look around. So this is what we need to change. It's not like take 2 hours of your day to go to a grocery store. It's maybe look to the side, you know? Like maybe see what else is there. What's the better option? Cream cheese. It's a great option. The cream cheese comes in plastic or comes in the box. Buy it in the box.
So not only are you looking at the packaging, but then you're reading the sodium content, and then you're reading the...
No, and it's not even that. Like you can still buy crappy food.
That's what I'm
Like the tortilla chips. But, so for example, frozen pizza. Just to put an example, frozen pizza. I love frozen pizza. And instead of buying like Market Basket, all frozen pizza comes in plastic. There is a brand in all the grocery stores that I just found, I didn't know about it, I just found, and it's called Cape Cod Pizza. It's made in Cape Cod, it's made right here, and it's delicious. And the good thing, what I like about it is it doesn't have the outer box, because there's also like excessive packaging. Does your pizza need to come in a box and then in plastic inside? They just skip the box and it's just the plastic. So I like that one, not only because it's local, but because it skips the box, even though the box is recyclable. Why do I need the box for?
We'll just do one item at a time when you go to the
Yeah.
You know, I don't spend 2 hours at the supermarket, just like what I do with my husband now. I'm gonna just do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Try to talk about
Also,
one thing at a time.
like I buy things in plastic at the grocery store because the grocery store is not the like best place to avoid plastic, but there's other instances in your house where you can actually switch to sustainable products. Your kitchen, your bathroom, your cleaners, they can all be now refilled or just, you know, you can buy a different kind. So, and you can reuse your own spray bottles. So if you change like me, like I don't pay much attention, even though I try to buy plastic-free products and food, I don't fight that front so much because I know it's not possible so much. I fight the other front. So like I haven't bought a bottle of shampoo in 4 years. I haven't bought I haven't bought a disposable razor in 4 years. Not, this is TMI, but like tampons, not a thing in my house. There's so many things. Like I was doing like it's been 4 years since I started doing this, and I literally a plastic toothpaste tube. They don't exist in my house. I have not had, or a plastic toothbrush. I have not bought any of those in 4 years. So when you switch to these products, it is possible. It is possible to not use plastic, to avoid it. Yes, ma'am.
So I love the whole aspect of rethinking things that you're talking about. Amy Henderson was talking about that as well. And that's made a difference for me. A couple of things. One is that I never buy like the kitchen liner bags or hefty bags, but it's just me. And I feel like we should, I feel like there should be a time where those are no longer used at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would be ideal.
is that, is that something that you think is reachable in terms of alternatives, right?
No using plastic bags, like plastic trash bags?
Yeah, the hefty bags or the kitchen, I just use
About
paper
compostable plastic bags.
See, like that's where you don't, there are instances when I'm going to defend plastic and there are instances when I'm not, but it's because I have the knowledge of where our plastic goes. I just told you that our trash is incinerated. Why are you buying, first of all, compostable bags are meant to deteriorate and they're flimsy. They're super flimsy, they will break. So I know people come to my store and they're like, oh, I just like the compostable bags for trash. You're burning your money. Like the trash bag, so okay, there's an instance when your choice also have to do with who you give your money to. So instead of buying normal plastic bags, what you can try to do is buy recycled plastic trash bags. That way you're giving your money to the recycling industry, not to the petroleum industry. That's compostable. Those are the compostable ones.
Yeah. So that, I guess that's what I'm saying, is that why, we should be able to move in that direction.
Because yes, we are, but also those bags are not hefty, to call it somehow. And those bags are right now way more expensive because compostable materials, recycled plastic, are more expensive than just virgin plastic.
So are you saying the compostable bags are better spent on compost?
On composting. If you buy something that is compostable, it's because it's meant to go into the compost.
So then, for our trash, we want to do the best we can. The best we can do at this moment is recycled plastic.
Actually, the best thing, so for example, poop bags for dogs. Use whatever bag comes in your way. Use the newspaper bags, the bread bags, whatever bag you already bought, use that. And I sell compostable poop bags. I sell them, and I appreciate if people use them, but if you get the newspaper, if you buy bread or bagels, all of that comes in a bag. Use those bags to pick up the poop because that poop is not going to be composted. No composting facility takes poop. And that's gonna go in the trash, and the trash is gonna go into the incinerator. So that is actually a way to reuse a bag that otherwise will just end up in the trash anyway.
The systems we have in place now.
Exactly, yes.
And plastic can only be recycled once, right?
Plastic is never recycled. So that's another lie about the whole thing. Recycling means that you make from one material the exact same thing. So you made out of glass bottles, more glass bottles. You make out of cans, aluminum cans, more aluminum cans. When something like plastic gets recycled, it gets downcycled. Plastic has so many chemicals and so many properties and so many additives that the only thing you can do is downcycle it to less thick plastic. So like laundry jugs and all the things, and then yogurt tubs and all the things that we put in right now in the recycling get baled by type, and then that's what makes recycled plastic. So recycled plastic gets downgraded into pellets, and those pellets can just be formed into a flimsier thing, which is usually clothes. So polyester clothes, it's made out of, from time to time, not always, is made out of recycled plastic. Now, I'm going to give you a PSA right now, and it's people love recycled plastic. Recycled plastic, we're saving the world. We're doing recycled plastic. Coca-Cola came out with 100% recycled plastic bottles. Great. No, plastic have a problem, and it's that when you actually recycle plastic, you are heating it up again, and all the chemicals that were not there, BPA, PFAs, come back. So when you drink a Coca-Cola out of 100% recycled plastic, you're drinking a ton of chemicals that were not there in the first place. So recycled plastic is not great, unless it's in your clothes, which is not great either because fast fashion is a huge problem, but is it better to buy recycled plastic than to buy plastic? Yes, it is better, because again, you're supporting an industry that's just, that we need. But also the ideal thing to happen is to stop making so much plastic. Thank you so much for listening to me.